So, back onto the Mark II XR2. In the previous video you've seen me repairing the passenger side inner wing, and now I'm going to repeat the process on this side, but this side has had some crash damage at the front. You can see it's really crumpled up and pushed. It's actually, this line should follow down here, but it's all curved and bulged. And this panel, I bought this panel to replace up to here, up to about here, but sadly this is not available. So I've got two options. I initially was going to pull it and dolly it and dress it and try and get it back into shape, and then after speaking to a good mate of mine, Jeff Turton, he recommended just cutting it off, cut the panel off here, so here, this is going anyway, across here, and just remake this section. It's a pretty straightforward section, you know, there's a little bit of work replacing these flanges on the front, put the presses in, but generally it's probably going to be easier to remake it than try and repair it, and it'll probably look a lot better anyway. This is cracked at some point, we welded a plate over it all, and it's just creased everywhere, some really thick deep creases, so it'll never be 100%. It's a relatively straightforward piece to make. So what I'm going to do now is get this side cleaned up. I want to be cutting basically just above this seam all the way up, so probably, I think it's about here. I'm going to clean all this sealer off so I'm not smoking myself out cutting through sealer. There's some spot welds, where are we? This panel spot welded, so there's going to be some spot welds buried underneath here, so I need to drill them out too, and then it's just going to be a case of nice clean line all the way up here, cut across, get it off, and then remake it. Fingers crossed it will look more like that one by the end of the day, but we'll see. Just going to drill the 2 spot welds out. There's only 2. I think I might need to wire wheel a bit more. As you can see, a little bit hard to see, 1 spot weld here, another one here. Once I get them drilled out, I can then cut just above this pressing all the way up to about here. I think that's where the damage stops, and cut across and start remaking it. Going to use a spot weld drill bit. You can see they've got like a, not like your normal drill bit, they've got little points on top and then they're very flat, so they just cut the spot weld and don't go all the way through, or hopefully don't go all the way through. This one's, I need to order some more spot weld drill bits. This one's getting a bit old and worn. All the others are knackered now, so just line it up. Yeah, that really has knackered that bit. Need to get some new ones. It's hardly touching it. See, we've got another one. Now, as far as I'm aware, they're not like normal drill bits where you can sharpen them, but I'm yet to be proven wrong. If anyone knows if you can or knows how to, put a comment below, because I've got loads of them which are blunt. It just seems like a waste, so I have to buy a new. There you go, heard it pop. And that one punched right through. Yeah, didn't really want that, but it's getting plug welded anyway, so we'll make it work. So, let's see. Gone. Yeah, so that's separated now. Now for cutting. What I'm going to do is I've marked out on this side where I'm cutting. If I cut down on this side to where I need to finish, I can then start from that point to this side and work my way down to the front. Always wear your glasses when you're cutting. The last thing you want is sparks in your eyes. A trip to A&E. just carry on all the way up on this because this is getting replaced anyway. I'm not concerned so much about that. So. You can smell the body filler. Look how thick that is. There's like a good thick layer of body filler on it. I'd have tried to. I've had some dodgy repair in the past and all bits of plate welded on. There's the old inner wing rusting behind it. And there's the new piece that they welded on. It's just scrap it and start again. It's not worth messing around with. Right then. That's it out. Now that it's out and you look at it in comparison to that one, they both should be matching. It's completely bowed and yeah. Some serious creases in it and damage, so just start again. So just quickly give the edges a clean up. We're going to be welding. Got rid of the seam sealer on this side so it's not burning. Clean these edges up. Just dollied this front face and dollied this a little bit because it was a bit bent. Yeah, this is what we're going to be remaking now. The piece that I've cut out is that badly damaged. It's hard to get any measurements off it. So what I'm going to do is just cut it a lot bigger and then trim to suit, because this edge, as you can see by the creases, how far it's pushed in, so there's no point measuring from there to there because that's not right. And also as well, we have to leave some excess because these flanges, which don't look very folded, are supposed to be. You look on this side where it's all nice and neat. It has a return lip here for the front panel to spot weld to, and the same here, and two holes for the bumper to pick up on. So we have to, when we cut this length, we also have to cater for this length and this length as well. So I'll leave it long, get the general dimensions, and then fold these in afterwards. Well, that's the plan at least. What I'm going to do is put a sheet of steel over here. Take a measurement off it, and then just add like, I don't know, say 3 inches to compensate for the bumper mount and the flanges and all the damage, because it's sort of concertinaed, which has probably took a, I don't know, 20-30 mil maybe out the length of the panel anyway. So yeah, that's the plan. I'll get it measured up and cut something out, and then fold this line in and then work on the flanges at the front. Right then, so this 17" by 12" squirt is now going to be that panel. Like I say, I overcut it. I can always trim it back later. Fingers crossed it's enough. Anyway, I just use some tin snips. That's why I've got, feels like I've got 4 arms on me like Eddie Hall at the minute. Maybe I could do with a guillotine, but anyway, gets the job done. Next, need to mark it out and cut this radius off into this, and then fold, and then try and be brave and put these pressings in. And let's see how it goes. And then finally the front flanges. Right, so a bit of a jump. Didn't record the folding it because it's pretty boring. Cutting it out. Still a little bit of trimming to do to make it fit nice. Well, a lot of trimming to do. Still got to make all the return edges on the front for the bumper bracket and the front panel to mount. So far, if we can hold it in one-handed, which is easier said than done. Anyway, basically, get the idea. All handmade, no fancy pipe folders. Literally just took my measurements, put around the leg of my ramp, which is a pretty close curve / fold as the inner wing, and hand folded it. Nothing fancy, but it does the job. So next I'm going to try and mount that in place, some grips or something, and then draw on my folds, start trimming it down and cutting it to size properly at the front, and then hopefully soon start welding it in place. Yeah, quite happy so far. Nice radius all the way around it. It matches up with the original one, so it will do the job. It's a little bit of trimming, measuring, got it sitting a bit better. Now happy with the height. Measure from this trim line, this swage on the chassis leg to here. Copied it from this one to here. So now that measures out exactly the same as the passenger side, which is undamaged. And the height is good on here. Nice, it's nice. Just wants a little trim along there in places, but generally quite good. Next we've got the flange. Now this, there is still some of the original panel coming up, so I followed that line up to here. Took a measurement from this forward, you know, this side forward, here forward, copied it to this side, and then took a paper template off this edge. So if you look down, it's not a straight, it actually comes back on itself. It's a bit more of an angle, it's not a 90. So what I did was I took a template off this edge and traced along this edge, and then replicated it onto this side, and then added 15mm, which will be my flange, which will have to be folded back 90 for the front panel. And then again, this flange here is going to need trimming, drilling, but I think this one was 40mm from the folded edge. So this will all, I'll take it off again now, cut this out, trim it, fold it, drill it, and then there's some pressings to be put in here, and then hopefully get it tacked in place. Yep, so far so good. Actually squares up nice down the chassis leg, fold looks good. There's my torch holding it in place, magnet. Quite happy with that so far. So next up, we want to do this pressing. So I measured up, I can't remember the exact dimensions of the inner pressing and the outer pressing, and then basically I got my press on this piece which matched up the outer size, and then where have I put it, this socket which matched the inner. and then just set the metal up in the press and pressed it just like that, and the result is this. See, wouldn't really call it any specialist tools to do it. Put a socket and a bit of tube and a press. Most people have got a press at home, or if you haven't, you know someone who has. So yeah, do the job. Next up, trying to replicate this, make an oval hole with some flared edges on it, which will go somewhere around here. I'll have to work out on doing that next, because again, I haven't got anything. You need like a press and a flare for that, so I'll probably just mark up some hole centers, cut out 2 holes, you know, cut 2, or whatever that diameter is, cut out a hole there, cut out a hole there, and then match it up, and then sort of flare the edge on it somehow. Not quite worked out how I'm going to do that yet, but I'll show you in the next video, next part of the video. So, managed to just dim my light a little bit. Managed to get this pressing in. Bit tricky being oval, so I basically marked it out and drilled 2 20mm holes, cut out the sides so it's an oval shape, and then with a ball peen hammer and a chisel just sort of chased this shape into it. You know, the lip pressing, add a bit of strength to it, clamp it up once we get it, you know, it's a little bit of dollying just to get it completely straight. That is that panel made. Go weld it in tomorrow, and then start on the side. Obviously this will probably want trimming down, this edge, but worry about that tomorrow when we start putting the panel side in a wing siding. So that's the new panel tack welded in. Plug welded this little bracket to it just to make it stable, but I've spot welded it from this side. What I'm going to do is do my seam welding from this side, so there's not as much welding in the bay, because this edge is the seam seal along here anyway from the factory, so I can do the welding from this side, the seam seal from this side. It'll be a lot better hidden, and this side has like a textured sealer on it anyway to hide it also. That's what I'll do. Crack on next, start welding. So that's, you know, welded in place, and doesn't look too bad. Relatively pleased with it. Still a couple of pinholes in the weld that I've got to fill up generally. It's nice and solid. Not too bad. Even though I was doing a spot and cooling it, and then another spot, cool it, and you know, moving around trying to work it so I wasn't putting too much heat through one area. I've still got a little bit of a raise there, so just have to get some dollies and dress that down, put it flat. That was always the chance with thin metal, but otherwise it's come out pretty good. Right, so this one's, the piece is done. Put some zinc primer over it just to stop it getting any surface rust while it's in the workshop and I'm working on other stuff. As you can see, I've started digging out this corner. I've drilled the spot welds out on the tower on this piece. Sadly someone's welded a plate into here, so it's not going to be a case of just drill the spot welds out. I'll have to drill the spot welds out and cut this off and then dress it and make it nice. Basically, as you can see, this side is just as bad as the passenger side. This little panel down here is virtually non-existent. I had to make this on the passenger side, so we'll have to do the same on this side. Now, I made a start unpicking this side. It's basically exactly the same as what I did on the passenger side. This panel, a little clip on and hold. This panel comes up here, and then this little gusset. Can stop dropping it. I'll go back on there. So I've cut this off, drill the spot welds out, get it off. I'll give that a clean up and some zinc prime before I put it on. Clean up in there and some zinc prime. It's solid, it's just a load of surface rust. Well, I've took this off so we can access all in here, and to be honest with you, this needs repair work anyway, so just like the passenger side, I'll probably remake this section, just because there's not even worth trying to repair that for what's left of it. Now I'm gonna get a section of this cut out, get the new inner wing panel laid on top, you know, laid in here, clamped up, and then I'll scribe along here, and that'll be my cut line. Cut it, get the new inner wing panel in, which is here. Again, this one's been chopped down. It usually goes, I'll do this panel because it's a repair panel, normally comes all the way up here. So when it's, so now it goes to the, what happens when they make the repair panel, the repair panel comes all the way up here to the bulkhead, but the original panel stops short here. And I want to make this look as original as possible, so I've stopped it short, and I'll remake all the other parts to suit. But yeah, I'm going to carry on, get this clamped up, get everything cut out, and start welding it back in again and start putting it back together. Clamp the new inner wing panel to the old one, tight as I can, run a scribe line all the way down. Now, when I started picking away these panels up here, it has revealed a bit more rust than I thought, so there's going to be some repairs. Now, thankfully this gets cut off here anyway, so it does away with a lot of it, but there is a bit of rust underneath, so I'm going to have to do some sort of repairs here as well. A little bit more than I was expecting, a little bit worse than the passenger side, but I'm here now, so might as well do it. Like I say, cut along here, there's some spot welds that spot weld this panel to the strut tower, drill them out, get this out of the way, and then start addressing this rust under here. It'll be a case of pop the spot welds out, cut the section out, weld a new section in, plug weld it, and then we can start putting the inner wing panel back in. While I had it clamped up, I did some measurements diagonal from this corner here over to this inner wing, and same from this corner to this inner wing, and they measured, like, I think one was 1,732 and the other one was 1,733, so they measure up good. And also this length of the inner wing panel to the bulkhead measured up virtually identical to that side as to the driver's side as well, so I know it's in the right place. Probably closer than Ford would have ever intended anyway. But yeah, that's what we're up to next. Next job then is cut along the scribe line, probably just slightly in, you know, try and cut this side of it instead of this side, because we've been clamped to this wing, you've got this thickness, so knock off a mil or two and then cut up there and start addressing this top corner, which I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but as ever I'll come up with something. Lots of seam sealer to get out. Anyway, let's crack on. So that's the inner wing cut off. As you can see, that's the strut tower, still solid. Bit of surface rust on it, but it's solid. Now the issue I've got is this inner wing skin, this top, spot welds to the tower. As you can see there, started drilling them out. It's right on here, so I need to cut that, cut a section out of that. The problem is it's rusty here and underneath. Now this is where the problem lies, because this section goes up to the bulkhead. You've got this section on top with this lip, and then there's another lip underneath, which is this section here, and then you got this lip, which is actually, I think, part of the splash shield and coming up and lipping forward. On closer inspection, that one has gone, and then when you get underneath here, notice it's gone under here too. So this has turned into quite a job, and I've not quite worked out how I'm going to do it yet, but that needs addressing. I'm sure, yeah, that's gone through, so that needs addressing, and this needs addressing, and this needs addressing, and not quite worked out how I'm going to get around this yet. I think it's going to be a case of take some more of this panel off the side, do a cut through here, drill the spot welds out, take this top section of bulkhead out, then cut a section of this lower bulkhead, I'm guessing, out, and that'll give me access to this and this, so I can do my repair on these two and then put these back in. And that's what I think so far. I'm going to have to remove some metal work, all the seam sealer, and see where the panel joins actually are before I make a decision on how I'm going to move forward. It's a hell of a lot of work to repair just this and this, but I want it done properly. You know, anyone else will just weld the plate under there, seam seal it or whatever, or you know, weld the plate on top, but I don't want that. I want you to be able to, I want all the factory seams where they're meant to be from the factory. I don't like patchwork quilts and plates welded on top. And to be fair, it's not really bad considering the age of the car. It's worth doing properly. So a little bit of extra work. This wasn't actually meant to be a restoration. This was just repair welding and repair the rust and paint it and put it back together. And it's actually turned into a lot more than I expected. But we'll get there. It's just another hurdle. I'm sure there'll be more. Well, that progressed a lot. Escalated, call it whatever you want. But what started off as fitting this inner wing side panel, and now sections of the bulkhead, and all because, well, that was the last section to be cut out. That's this lower bulkhead here. So I'll have to repair that first. Then repair this section that tucks underneath it. Then this section can go back in, and then this section, and then this section, and yeah, you get the point. Just gotta make sure to put it all back in the right order, otherwise it won't fit. Yeah, a lot more rust than I was anticipating to be dealing with this morning, but it's got to be done. Can't just leave rust, can you, once you're this far into it? So yeah, thankfully the tower itself is nice and solid still. Bit of surface rust on it, but that'll clean up. I'll have to start making some panels. First one to make will be this one, which is I think it's the lower bulkhead. Make this one first and get this one in, and go from there. That's the first piece of lower bulkhead in. I've not finished grinding the weld yet. I'll probably get the wheel and strut out the way and grind out under there, but that's this lower piece in. So this is actually the lower lip here. There's three. That's lower bulkhead, then the next one is middle, and then this top lip here is this top one here. Now what I've got to make is the piece of inner wing to fill in here, which comes round to here, along here, and plug weld it underneath here. So that'll tie that in, and then I can start putting the other pieces of bulkhead back in. Basically, that's all I've got. Cut it off flush with the bulkhead, so I'll have to extend that probably 20mm to go underneath that bulkhead lip. And then this is rotten off, and it's supposed to carry on round. Basically, should go there. Now when I chopped it off flush with the old bulkhead lip, but that should continue round to carry on, meet up with this, and straight edge along here where my inner wing's going to drop in, my new inner wing side panel. So yeah, let's remake this piece now. Couple of bends to it. I just threw some zinc primer over this, cleaned it up, put some zinc primer over it, because we've welded into this and we'll never be able to paint it again otherwise. Start making some panel. That's the next piece made. Just this plate to fill in here. To drill some holes in this so I can plug weld through to this panel, and then drill some holes here so I can plug weld through to the strut top, and then seam weld down here. Basically, that's it. Just a piece of tin. Took a template of what I had, and then I had to take some measurements and extend this back lip because that was missing, and this edge had all gone, so I had to take a template and take some measurements and make that. Yeah. Drill some holes in it, get some zinc primer on it, on the underside of it, get that one welded in. On to the next piece. So that piece welded in. Nice bit of colour in it, nice penetration. Bit of grinding and sanding and hide it, and then on to the next piece, which I think is going to be, once I've ground this down, this piece of the middle bulkhead, and then possibly cap the side in, and then the top, and then yeah, you get the point. Big jigsaw puzzle. Looks a bit better. Give it a quick grind and sand and whatnot. Hide a little bit. Still a few pinholes in the welds, but that we can't hide easy enough. Getting there. Next up is this piece, which I chopped out, which is this section here, which has got a hole in it. So I'm going to have to remake this piece to go on there. Let's show that. Just a jigsaw puzzle, just remembering which piece goes where. Fast forward a couple of steps, I managed to get this middle bulkhead welded in, ground down, zinc primed, then the top bulkhead welded in. Just a little bit of sanding left to do and finishing off. Then this little, the end of the splash shield here was rotten, so I remade this end piece, got that welded in, and it's going to be, there's a panel that goes in here, then another, and then another, and so on. But we've actually got a bulkhead again now. Still got to grind down under here, make that pretty, but yeah, we've actually got a bulkhead again now. Carry on with that in the morning when I get back in, get the rest of this, hopefully get this side finished up tomorrow. We'll see. It all depends on if I get any disturbances, because today I've had lots of people coming in, lots of phone calls, lots of messages, so it's been stop start, but it's progress. That's the bulkhead basically done now. This side nearly done. Just got this piece to remake, you can see. Pitted, same as the other side. I had to remake this on the other side, so I'll remake this, stitch it back into there, plug weld it, and then a little gusset can go back on here, little brace, and that's this side finished. Well, this area anyway. I've then got the inner wing panel to go in and a little gusset to go in here, and that's it, finally. A lot more work than I first intended. I was originally just going to remake this side and the little gusset that was in here that was rotted, but it turned out actually sections a lot more up here was gone, as you've seen. It required a lot of the bulkhead cutting out and remaking. So, making this panel. Basically, I'm going to sheet of steel, lay it out, draw around the edges, trim it out. I always try and trim out a little bit bigger, because you have to keep in mind that when I cut it out, the slitting disc will take some material, so draw a little bit bigger. On this edge, we have to keep in mind there's a return lip, so we have to draw that edge at about 3-4 mil, that edge, for that return lip, and then we'll have to press this hole out. Yeah, that's the next job. There's that piece remade. Pretty straightforward really. Cut out some sheets, drill a 20 or 22 mil hole, put on top of a ball peen hammer, and then just smack that, makes the pressing in there, folded that lip over, just give it a bit of strength, drill a hole in the top for the mount, and then that'll finish that section off. Nice tight fit, that'll do the job. So just a breakdown of what's actually been replaced so far. First of all, it was this section that was all crumpled. I had to remake this. Then we've got, once we cut everything out and got to the rust, we got, that's the lower bulkhead that was rotten. I had to remake that, weld that in. Then the inner wing panel, that's got 30 mil missing off that was rotten, and again it come out to about here. It's about, I think it was about 90 mil of this missing just through rot, so that one. Then we had the centre bulkhead, this little return lip. This was down at the end of the splash shield that was rotten, so we had to replace that piece too. And then this piece. So yeah, lots of pieces made. I'm probably going to end this video off now before I get this welded in, and that'll be in the next video. I didn't get a video out last week just due to other work commitments, so I'll end this one off now and get it edited and get it posted. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to subscribe or comment, like, give it a thumbs up, or if you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. It's completely up to yourselves, but thanks for watching.